If you're a web developer, you know the feeling, right? It's this constant barrage of new frameworks, new libraries, new tools. It feels like you're in the middle of a never-ending battle for your attention. Well, we're here to cut through all that noise and find the signal.
I mean, are you just drowning in choice? Do you ever wonder if you're using the right tool or if the next big thing is about to make your entire stack obsolete? You are definitely not alone. So, in this explainer, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sense of this chaos, from the established giants to the lightning-fast new challengers.
And look, this isn't just a feeling. The State of JavaScript survey backs this up. Developers are straight up saying that excessive complexity, choice overload, and poor performance are major pain points. The struggle is real, and a lot of the time, it's rooted in the very tools we use every single day.
Okay, so to figure out where we're headed, we've got to look back at where we've been. Let's start with the titans, the frameworks that have basically defined modern web development for the better part of a decade. Let's talk about the big three.
All right, here they are. React from Facebook, Angular from Google, and the community-driven Vue.js. Each of them was born with a totally different philosophy. React came in with this super flexible, component-based model and its famous virtual DOM. Angular gave you the whole shebang, a complete, structured framework. And Vue? Vue tried to find that perfect balance, taking the best ideas from both.
So first up, React. You know it. Its biggest strength is its insane flexibility and just massive ecosystem. You can build literally anything with it, and finding developers who know it is a breeze. But that flexibility is a classic double-edged sword. It can lead to this decision fatigue, because you have to make a choice for everything: state management, routing, you name it.
Then you've got Angular, the enterprise powerhouse. It's super opinionated, which means it gives you a clear, consistent structure right out of the box. And for large teams and long-term projects, that is fantastic. So what's the catch? Well, it's got a much steeper learning curve, and the code can get pretty verbose, which sometimes feels a little restrictive.
And rounding out the big three is Vue, often called the friendly middle ground. People love it for its gentle learning curve and its elegant design, like its single-file components that keep everything so neat and organized. Its main challenge has just been getting that same huge level of enterprise adoption that a framework like React has.
So for years, the debate was all about features, syntax, that kind of stuff. But now, the real battle has moved deeper. It's a conflict happening under the hood, and it's all centered on one fundamental question: what's the most efficient way to update what the user sees on the screen?
For over a decade, the answer has been the virtual DOM, or VDOM. It was popularized by React, adopted by Vue, and the idea is pretty clever. It works by creating a virtual copy, like a blueprint of the UI, in memory. When something changes, it creates a brand new blueprint, compares it to the old one, finds the differences, and then applies only those changes to the actual screen.
Now, this quote gets to the heart of the VDOM's philosophy. It's basically saying, you know what, I'm not exactly sure what part of you changed, so I'm just going to rerun everything and figure it out by comparing the blueprints. It totally works, but it's a bit of a brute force approach that, as you can imagine, can create a lot of unnecessary work behind the scenes.
And that brings us to the challenger, a model called signals, or fine-grained reactivity. Instead of a whole virtual tree, signals are these tiny, smart little things that know exactly which parts of the UI are listening to them. There's no guesswork. The philosophy here is surgical precision. Signals say, I know exactly which piece of data changed, so I will update only that one specific part of the screen that depends on it. This huge shift from re-render everything and check to update directly is the core of the performance battle we're seeing today.
So, okay, theory is one thing. We have these two competing models, but how do they actually stack up in the real world? Let's get to the data and look at a head-to-head benchmark that puts the virtual DOM against signals.
So the test was simple. In one corner, you've got React, our VDOM champion, and in the other, Solid.js, a framework built from the ground up on signals. The benchmark simulated 6 really common scenarios you'd find in a data-heavy dashboard, and it measured everything from speed to memory.
Okay, the first result is, honestly, it's staggering. In the benchmark, the signal-based framework reduced the number of direct changes to the screen, what we call DOM mutations, by up to 99.9%. No, that is not a typo, 99.9%.
And it's not just about raw speed, it's also about efficiency. The signal-based app also used about 75% less memory. What this tells us is that the VDOM's whole approach of constantly creating and comparing these virtual trees comes with a pretty significant memory cost.
And this chart just lays it all out. It's kind of shocking. Look at this, sorting a column.
React performed over 100,000 mutations. Solid.js did just 7. 7! But here's the craziest part. When the app was just sitting there doing nothing, React was still performing thousands of background mutations, while the signal-based app was almost perfectly silent.
Now, Solid.js isn't some lone wolf here. There's a whole new wave of frameworks popping up, and each one is challenging the old ways with its own really innovative approach to performance and developer experience.
First up, you've got Svelte. Think of it as a compiler. It takes your code and turns it into tiny, super optimized JavaScript at build time, so there's almost no framework overhead in the browser. Then there's Astro, with its islands architecture, which is a cool way of saying it ships zero JavaScript by default, only loading interactive islands when the user actually needs them. And then there's Quick, which has this wild idea called resumability, letting apps become interactive almost instantly.
So, we've seen the old guard, we've seen this deep technical conflict, and we've met the new wave of challengers. This brings us to the million-dollar question. What do you actually do with all this information? How do you choose? So after all this, who wins the framework wars? The thing is, that's the wrong question to ask. The war is over. We've moved past competition and into an era of specialization. The real winner is the developer who picks the right tool for the right job. Are you building a huge enterprise dashboard? Angular's structure is your friend. A content-heavy blog or marketing site? Astro is literally purpose-built for that. A highly interactive, data-heavy app where performance is everything? Well, the speed of Solid.js is pretty hard to beat.
So here's your takeaway checklist. Before you even think about writing a line of code, ask your team these simple questions. What do we already know? How big is this thing going to get? And most importantly, what is the core purpose of what we're building? Is it about content or is it about interactivity? The answers will guide you way better than any internet popularity contest. And that really leaves us with this final, crucial thought. The goal isn't to chase the hype. It's to understand the trade-offs, to know your own requirements, and to choose the framework that best fits your specific context. That's how you build great things for the web.